What actually happens in the moment after you die? Scientists say your brain may remain active even after your heart stops. But for how long? And what does it experience? Death is one of the greatest mysteries that humans have ever tried to understand. Since ancient times, people have asked the same question. What really happens after we die? Different religions and cultures have their own beliefs about the afterlife. Some believe in heaven or hell, others believe in reincarnation, and some think death is simply the end of existence. But what does science say about what happens when a person dies? To understand this, we first need to understand what death actually means from a scientific point of view. Death occurs when the body can no longer maintain the processes that keep us alive. The heart stops beating, breathing stops, and blood stops flowing through the body. Without blood, the organs no longer receive oxygen and nutrients. The brain is the most important organ affected by this process because it needs a constant supply of oxygen to function properly. When the heart stops beating, the brain begins to suffer from a lack of oxygen within seconds. Within about 10 seconds, a person usually loses consciousness. This means they are no longer aware of their surroundings. Brain activity begins to slow down rapidly as oxygen levels drop. Scientists say that the brain is extremely sensitive, and without oxygen, brain cells begin to experience damage very quickly. However, death is not always an instant event. In medicine, there are two important stages that doctors often talk about: clinical death and biological death. Clinical death happens when the heart stops beating and breathing stops. At this stage, it may still be possible to revive the person if medical help arrives quickly. Doctors can sometimes restart the heart using CPR or a defibrillator. But if the brain goes too long without oxygen, the damage becomes permanent. This stage is known as biological death. After about 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen, brain cells begin to die. After around 10 minutes, most brain activity has stopped completely. At this point, revival becomes extremely unlikely. Interestingly, scientists have discovered that the brain may remain active for a short time even after the heart stops. In some studies, researchers observed bursts of electrical activity in the brain moments after death. Some scientists think this could explain why some people who are revived after cardiac arrest report unusual experiences. These experiences are known as near-death experiences. Many people who have been brought back to life after their hearts stopped describe similar sensations. Some say they felt as if they were floating above their bodies. Others describe moving through a tunnel toward a bright light. Many people also report a feeling of deep peace and calm during these experiences. Scientists are still studying why near-death experiences happen. One explanation is that when the brain is deprived of oxygen, it releases chemicals that can cause hallucinations or dream-like sensations. Another theory suggests that the brain becomes extremely active in its final moments, creating intense and vivid experiences. While the brain is shutting down, the rest of the body also begins to change. One of the first visible changes after death is called pallor mortis. This is when the skin becomes pale because blood circulation has stopped. Soon after this, the body begins to cool down. This process is called algor mortis. Over the next several hours, the body temperature slowly drops until it matches the temperature of the surrounding environment. Another well-known change is rigor mortis, which causes the muscles to become stiff. This usually begins a few hours after death. It happens because the cells in the muscles can no longer produce the energy required for muscles to relax. The stiffness normally lasts for about 1 or 2 days before the muscles begin to relax again. Inside the body, another process called autolysis begins. During autolysis, enzymes inside the cells start breaking down the cells themselves. Because the body is no longer receiving oxygen and nutrients, the cells cannot maintain their structure. Gradually, tissues start to decompose. Bacteria also play an important role in what happens after death. Our bodies contain trillions of bacteria that normally live inside us. While we are alive, the immune system keeps these bacteria under control. But after death, the immune system stops working. This allows bacteria to spread and break down tissues. Over time, the body slowly decomposes and returns its elements back to the environment. From a scientific perspective, Consciousness is closely connected to the brain. Everything we experience, our thoughts, memories, and emotions comes from the activity of billions of neurons inside the brain. When the brain permanently stops functioning, the processes that create consciousness also stop. However, scientists still do not fully understand what consciousness actually is. The human brain is one of the most complex structures in the known universe. Because of this, some researchers believe there may still be things about the brain and consciousness that we have not yet discovered. Around the world, scientists are continuing to study what happens in the brain during the moments close to death. Some hospitals are conducting research on patients who survive cardiac arrest to learn what they remember during the time when their heart stopped. These studies are helping researchers learn more about how the brain behaves during extreme situations. Even though science has explained many physical aspects of death, the deeper mystery of what happens to our awareness or sense of self is still debated. Science focuses mainly on measurable evidence, and so far there is no scientific proof that consciousness continues after the brain permanently stops working. What science clearly shows is that death is a gradual biological process rather than a single moment. From the stopping of the heart to the shutdown of the brain and the changes in the body, many events happen step by step. Understanding death also helps scientists understand life itself. The atoms that make up our bodies have existed for billions of years. When a living organism dies, those atoms eventually return to nature and become part of the Earth's natural cycle. The question of what happens after death may always remain one of the greatest mysteries of human existence. While science can explain the physical processes that occur when life ends, the deeper questions about consciousness and existence continue to inspire research, curiosity, and philosophical debate. And perhaps one day, as science and technology continue to advance, we may finally come closer to understanding one of the biggest mysteries of all: what truly happens after death.